This is the SAG-AFTRA Foundation. We have a room full of actors here. Give it up for yourselves. And so, I know a lot of people here are really interested in how you went about landing these roles. What was the audition process like? How did you get involved in this project?
I Skyped with Jordan very early, and I was like, "Oh man, like you're a G," and I think this is really impressive. I think this is a really impressive script, and how do I be a part of this? And then what happened? Then months went by. I think loads of months went by, and it kind of was like, "Oh yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no," and then I just happened to be in LA before I did this film called Sicario, and I was promoting that, so I went to LA for it, and then I read, and he said I had a part in the audition.
Yeah.
But I just didn't really believe him. I have trust issues, clearly. And I didn't really believe him. And then he kind of kept, and then he texted me, he said, "You've got it." And then, but I had to go in and kind of fight for it. And I called him up, I called people up, go, "Yo, is this still happening? What's happening?" to get updates and stuff. But I read it and I auditioned. Yeah.
My process was a little bit different, but Jordan had seen Peter Pan. I played Peter Pan, and I think weirdly that's what gave him the idea for me to play Rose, not Marnie. But either way, he was like, "You give off this vibe of like the whitest girl we've ever seen, and also which is totally true. I mean, I'm from Connecticut. It doesn't get whiter than this, and also like." No, it's like 23andMe, I am 99.6% white or something. I mean, it's embarrassing. But if anyone's going to play Rose, like I should have. And then he said, people are going to go into it with the assumption that you're Marnie or Peter Pan, and that'll just help, mess with them and help like sort of. And it's weird because at the same time, I was looking for a part that would use the preconceived notions people had about me against the audience. And so this was it was eerie. It was like, oh, you think I'm just this like, striped sweater wearing like girlfriend with bangs, and it's just not the case. So it was really perfect. So I got the script, I read it, I Skyped with Jordan, and I was like, if I can, I'm dying to do this part. And then I was able to do the part. It was unbelievable.
That's so amazing. I love it. And I watched you in Peter Pan back in 2014. That was so amazing. I mean, it's just to see how you did that night. It's funny that was the role more than Marnie and
I think
Girls.
he was like, if she's willing to do this, she'll be fine.
She'll be fine.
If she's willing to fly for 3 hours on live television, I can tell her to, be insane and she'll be down, which I was.
I love that. That's so funny. The amazing thing about Get Out is that comedy requires such precision. It's like the way you set up a joke, the way, the timing of it, it has to land in just a certain way. And it's kind of the same with horror too, that, in order to elicit, the kind of physical reaction that horror does, you need to do it in just the right way. So what was the preparation before you guys even started shooting for all of this? Did you do a lot of rehearsal? What all did you do before the cameras even started rolling?
We first time me and Allison met was me, Allison, and Jordan, and we just in a room getting to know each other and going through the scenes and stuff. And I think we all kind of came to a decision that we wanted the relationship to feel really grounded. I think that's the only way to buy them and the journey that these characters go on. If you're rooting for the couple. And I've always of the belief where like I kind of have to forget the genre of it and just play the truth. Whether it's comedy, horror, whatever, man, just play the truth of the scene and then it will speak for itself. But you believe in these human beings as multifaceted humans. And then, so that's what it was for me. And then we went to a house in Alabama and we did it was a lot of improv in Get Out. And because me, Jordan, and Allison all come from an improv background. So then we kind of freed the script up and we kind of workshopped some scenes and we'd be in a room and Jordan go, how do you feel it will play out? And we just kind of worked it through to kind of have that grounded, spontaneous present.
And we
feel.
kept working on it.
Yeah.
Even once we started shooting, Jordan would come over. I rented a house and people would come over. And so Jordan would come over with Daniel and we'd work through scenes that were coming up that didn't feel quite right. But it was hard. I mean, it had to be so precise because we had like 2 decoy arcs with our characters. Like Chris would shut down, Rose would try to make him open up, and he would resist. And then we had the arc of my sort of like racial awakening and my awareness, and both of those were bullshit, but it was important that the audience think that they're tracking those so that they're fighting for them to get out of this. So that it seems that the relationship has grown throughout the course of the movie. So we had to lay the groundwork for those, but then we also had to layer under it like second watch little nuggets so that it felt truthful both times, so that you never felt like, so it was really precise. So it required a lot of work. I mean, I think on a couple of those scenes and on that moment on the staircase alone, we probably spent like 8 hours working that scene.
Oh yeah, the staircase going down and giving the key. Yeah, giving the keys. That scene was like, that was on the spot. That we did that on set, and we kind of abandoned the script, and we just and then Jordan, we kind of worked to the heart of the scene, which is basically Chris in Rose for the keys, and him knowing that, but being in love, love blinding you, and going, please tell me you got those keys. Yeah. But he knows she ain't, but he needs the confirmation. I mean, to the true heartbreak, she did me dirty, man.
He's still in denial.
She did me dirty. But like, that's what it is. It's it continued to work.
Yeah, I mean, that's such an amazing moment because he's still in denial. He so wants it to be true just because he doesn't want to have his heart broken. And that's amazing that you guys worked that out just yourselves. I mean, like, what was it initially like in the script?
It was Bradley Whitford. He was speaking. He had a spiel about, I think a lot of that arc about the society of what Chris was getting into was pushed back to the video, and so basically there was a back and forth with Rose's dad and Chris that I just felt like, I was like, bro, this guy needs to get out. Like, I was just like, black people just gonna go, he's an idiot for like talking. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, he needs to leave, bro. Like, he needs to leave. Like, that's the only focus. And he's trapped, but he needs to leave. Like, and then... and because we were looking for your most logical exit. Yeah. Like, once we got in the house, we were like, well, where is he gonna try to go? We need to make sure this blocking makes sense, because if the audience feels for a second that Chris isn't making the choices they would be making, you lose. So this like period of time risked losing the audience for the entire movie. If they weren't with us over that hump of like, I can't give you the keys into the basement and everything, they're checked out for the rest of the movie, and they're not cheering when people die. And so no, but I'm serious. It's important that people cheer when we all die. It's like part of it. And you cheer when Rod shows up, and played by Lil Rel. But I remember you thinking like, if I'm downstairs, I'm going out the front door, and I would risk like getting hurt by Jeremy to get out the front door. And also the fact that he doesn't know if Rose is in on it. Like, he thought for sure that she may be captured by the family, and he still feels real feelings for her. But yeah, it was just that kind of being present, and what's the most logical. Anyone else, what would they do in that situation? And the script, it needed to be freed up. And also it was just about trusting the director and going, all right, him going, listen, trust me, I know a way to make this work, and then just giving that. It's pretty amazing. I mean, were there other moments like that where you felt like you were really able to give input into the creation of the character? The whole time. The whole time. I mean, that's one of the bonuses of having a writer-director who is also an actor. He was so collaborative. It was amazing. And even I came to him early on. I was preparing before even going down to Alabama to shoot. And I said, don't freak out. I've kind of split Rose in half. And she is much more bifurcated than she reads on the page, but I think it'll end up really helping to see who she really is when she's not in character. I kind of looked at her as an actress that just performs this role of like different versions of a doting girlfriend, and then when she's stripped down, she's like still in middle school because she hasn't evolved as herself, really. She's stuck at the stage where she started being other people, kind of like we are as actors. And he was like, awesome, I love this idea. So we called that version of her Roro, the one at the end. But so like even that's pretty significant. And like dialogue things, little things that bumped with us logically, like Jordan was always willing. Yeah, I came from a space of logic. Like I was really happy with the script, but there was a lot of times I don't know if something's not working unless you're on set, and then you're in the scene, and then you're in a dynamic. I just go, this doesn't make sense. And it's let's try and make this work because it just doesn't feel like it makes sense. Because it's like there's nothing happening before Chris enters the scene. It's like the scene is there for Chris to enter. That doesn't make sense. It's not like stuff. I mean, it's just like a logic kind of. So it was, and he was just open to like to talk about things, and he was just like, listen, it's not. We're still there, and also what we shot in comparison to what's on there. There was major cuts and there was a scene with on the lake. That scene before Chris talks about his mum and. Yeah, so like basically we just made it up. We would just freed it up and Allison be like, oh, I'm going to say this. And are you okay? I'm like, yeah, just say what you want. And then like, I'll react. I'll react. We'll react in the way that Chris would react, you know, it's just because that's life, you know.
So actually, we have a question from the audience from Turan Kov Elaine, actually that gets to the fluidity of the script. And it's, how did you respond to the ending of, the new ending of the film that was presented? Because there was an original ending to the movie, right? And so if you could tell us a little bit about how that would have played, what that ending would have been like, and why did it change ultimately, and how did you respond to it?
I loved the original ending, but then it was pre-Trump in it, so it was different. And like, do you mean it's like because I think this film was very much a reaction to the Obama administration, that people feel that they solved racism because Obama was in charge. So it was like he wanted to go, yo, they're locking black people up. You know what I mean? Because it ended up with Chris being in prison after killing, and he kills Rose. So then they're locking black people up, but then the times changed and it tested, and Jordan felt that people needed a hero. And then I thought it was like, oh man, like, because I really
kind of like, oh.
Yeah, I thought it was
so
really
real.
unapologetic, the ending, and I was like, oh man. And then when I saw the reaction, I was like, oh, this ending is way tighter, way more hopeful, but it's more interesting because it's not like Chris is gonna be okay. It's like, well, after.
Right, you still have the light cue of the blue and red lights, which is fascinating to watch with an audience, because depending on the makeup of the audience, it has a very different response to it. Some people immediately are like, well, he's fucked, instantly. And then other people still have that instinct of like, blue and red means safety. And it's true. I've watched it in Connecticut, for example, off the top of my head. And so they don't have, but that's one of the many places where this movie actually serves as like a conversation within the audience, where people are learning from each other. Like if the person next to you has a vastly different response to that light cue than you do, it begs the question, like, why didn't I react that way? And why did this person react the way they did? But so in one moment, you get the light cue, hands up, immediately I become the victim, the little help, whatever. And then you get Rod, who is victorious and who's that dogged best friend who knew what was going on, even though people were making fun of him. And then they drive away just like so blank. And it is hinting at like, we'll give you that, but the future from here might not be so rose-colored. And then I think also releasing the initial ending helps. Like it just helps to kind of give people the idea of like, Jordan, this is what Jordan really wanted to say with it, but because he didn't want everyone pissed off at him as they walked out of the theater, he gave them what they wanted.
It lets the audience in and lets the audience infer what Chris's life's going to be like.
Yeah.
So interesting. Wow. So, you gave us a sense of your preparation a little bit, but I think what's so amazing when you're watching this film, certainly for the first time, and afterwards as well, I mean, you guys have such great chemistry together. So what happens is such a shock. Like, what did you do to, just as actors to prepare for presenting this romantic partnership?
We just spent a lot of time together. We just hung
out, yeah.
We're buddies.
Yeah.
For real. I know it's kind of hard to like look at us together now after watching that. But we do like each other. He's fine. He's safe. We've spent a ton of time together. He's totally fine.
we just chilled out, man. It was just like I think we're just open. I mean, and it's open, and then just like it was a 23-day shoot, so we're all in this together. Like it's not easy. Do you know what I mean?
We're living in Alabama. It's not like we're going out with other friends at night.
We're in Fairhope, Alabama. Yeah.
It was just us.
It's not a crazy Friday night out. I tell you that. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that was part of it, but then also the fact that we come from similar backgrounds in terms of improv, and the fact that we're similar in terms of logic, like we think similarly as actors. We're not precious or particularly actory in a lot of ways. And so it was helpful, like not, we're all actors, but you all know what I'm talking about. That person in your acting class who's like really actory. It's like, we're both not that person. And so it was just a nice match where it was like, we can hang until the minute we have to go to set, and then we are just in it. And then with a few exceptions, like there were some more intense scenes than others, like his incredibly masterful performance during the hypnosis. But for the most part, it was just like hang, shoot, go away while they're setting up the next shot, hang. And our whole cast got along pretty well, which was nice.
So as an American who works for the BBC, a lot of my British colleagues, try to put on American accents every now and then, sometimes in jest. And I've seen firsthand how difficult it really is to be from the UK and put on an American accent. The way you do it, I think, is absolutely incredible. Seriously.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you.
And so, for actors here who are working on their accents as well, I mean, how did you go about mastering an American accent?
I kind of was like, I went to I realized that I wasn't going to get a lot of work in England. And then so I kind of was like, okay, cool, America's a thing. And then but then I realized I was doing accent classes, and I was I was sounding white, and I was like, that don't make no sense.
Wait, you sounded white?
I was sounding white because it was like general American is actually white American. That doesn't make sense. What I don't. Hey, nah, like I can't because I didn't know it. No, I can't do it. Because then there's better actors and they're just gonna think I'm an idiot. I heard that guy's accent. It's garbage. No, I can't. Give me 2 weeks. But yeah, so it's like. So I basically went there with the idea. I was like, I needed to find my identity in America. Who am I in America? And then use that as a foundation to build the regions. And so that have so I kind of looked at Denzel Washington or Jay-Z or Will Smith or Wesley, people that are from the black community, but clearly have a collection of experiences means that their accent's just not as specific anymore. Do you know what I mean? So it's but where they're from. You don't hear them and go, oh, that guy, I don't know, he grew up with black people, and because I grew up around black people. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I think I give off. So I just didn't want to. I just wanted to find an American version of myself, and then I just kind of built on that. And then it was just drilling it. I kind of was, when I was in Alabama, I would just be in the accent. I would just constantly be, and on set,
stay in it all day. And then at the end of the day, we'd be like, Daniel, you can drop out. And he'd be like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, and I'd be really moody. Because I got
so
a vowel
energy.
wrong. I got a vowel wrong. If I'm having a conversation, I got a vowel wrong. Go,
we worked on American a lot. Ironically, that's a really hard word to say in an American accent.
Yeah, American's hard. And what's that? There's loads of hard words you say. And then so it was just keeping that up because I wanted to still improvise. So it's keeping it up and keeping present. So then it didn't feel like I was doing, because accent and acting are two different disciplines. It's just two different things. You can't be thinking of accents to do acting. Does that make sense? So I had to be like walking for me to do what I need to do, my actual job. It's just a way to do my job.
So well said. And I love that other accent that you just did a moment ago. That was more like my colleagues when they try to put on an American accent. I love that. What I think is, so you shot the film just over 23 days, which is amazing. You spent a lot of time with each other, but did you shoot the film in order or out of sequence, or because it's this incredible linear descent from this kind of sense of normalcy into ultimately, Bill Medley accompanied madness?
It was out of sequence, which goes to show we prepared a ton, all of us individually and then as a group, because we were shooting out of sequence. So our first day of shooting was in the car, and then our second day of shooting was at the lake, I think. Maybe that was also the end of our first day of shooting.
The second day was at the lake, yeah.
Yeah, so it was the first day was that was fine. We were driving to meet, that's okay. But we also had to seem like we'd been dating for a really long time. And then right after that, we had to have that super emotional scene that Rose is pretending to care about, where they're by the lake and it's like, can you please stay? But really, she just needs to get him out of the house for the auction. And so it's like, it's sort of, she on second watch needs to kind of just be going through the motions, but has to be really emotionally present there. So that's complicated. And also trying to figure out what he's responding to when we haven't shot that yet. Like, what have we just seen? We don't know what Lakeith's performance is going to look like. We don't know how that's all going to end up. So that was pretty weird. And then the only other thing that was really strange.
Shot the beginning at the end.
Right, that's what I was just gonna say. Like that first moment of us in the apartment was our last day shooting together, I think. Yeah. So that made that scene easier to shoot in a way to show that intimacy because we'd spent so much time together at that point.
That's really interesting. And so, since you guys spent so much time together while shooting the movie, didn't venture that much beyond, when you weren't shooting. I mean, like for the more intense scenes, did you do any exercises to put yourself in like a more tense mindset, for the really suspenseful, scary, horrifying scenes? Or, did you do anything to psych each other out or?
She tried to psych me out. She just went on one, like listening to like, I don't know, Let the Bodies Hit the Floor.
Yeah, literally. To be the really evil person, I'd just be alone. I've never done anything like that because, I don't know, Marnie and Peter Pan, like it's whatever. But I really needed to stay like that evil. And like looking at this guy and feeling hatred or ambivalence, whichever is more powerful, is like hard after you spend this much time with them. And we didn't shoot those scenes till later. And so I'd have to like go be by myself, not look at anybody, just listen to the incredibly violent, awful music and just like sort of erase myself of all emotion. And I had color contacts in, so I'd look in the mirror and I didn't really see myself. And then I'd emerge still with like a headphone in. I'd take them out just in time to shoot. And then I'd disappear again and I'd just go back. I'd go away somewhere. And so that's how I handled that because at that time, like the crew and the cast, they all felt like family. And to be that mean and evil and just sort of like empty took a lot more effort than I was anticipating, but that's how I did it. But
the only scene was the hypnotism scene, which was quite tough because it was just one day of just doing just that, and I think that's the only time when I just went off and just in between takes, I just went in my own head, and I didn't really want to. I just want to be in that place, just want to stay there, and I didn't think it was a time for chit chat and like because sets are really fun. But I just thought that he's in a place and I needed to be just present and focused. And yeah, I don't know about my process. I can't remember. Not in a bad way. I just try and stay present. That's all. I'm trying to stay present and try to tell the truth. That's kind of it.
Definitely. Well, let's step back a moment and, when did you first know that you wanted to be an actor? And when did you first know that you could really make a career out of being an actor?
Such different questions. The answer to the first question is like 2 or 3. So at that point, I'm sure I just assumed I would have a career out of being an actor. And then the older you get, the sillier that sounds. And I think it was probably, girls. I was like, okay, I can support myself. I'm off my parents' cell phone plan. It's a big step. I mean, in some ways it makes more sense to just stay together, but it was symbolic, if nothing else. So it was like, oh, I can actually, this is the dream situation where you are making a living doing the thing you love doing more than anything else in the world. And that was like a really profound moment when I realized that was going to be possible.
Yeah. Some teacher at school told my mum that I should do it because I'm busy. Because I was like in primary school, which is like elementary school, and then I was just like, "Rrr." And then he said he needs to let out some energy, and then so I did that, and then I learned how to act through improv. So I did like from 13. It was like underprivileged like kids back in London. It's like you pay £5, and then you just improvise in front of kids that are from like the estate, which is like projects and stuff, and if you're rubbish, people just laugh at you. Like, they'll just laugh at you, or they're on their phone playing snakes, like on Nokias.
Nokia.
They're playing snakes, and like,
that game.
yeah, and then like, you're trying to improvise, you're making up everything. And it was just, for me, it was a really good training, because it was like, attention isn't a right, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not, you're not supposed to listen to me. I don't expect people to, I expect that I'm supposed to do something, and then I get you have an emotional reaction. It's honest. They're being honest. Sometimes we're in a fit. We're not being honest. We're being polite. Do you know what I mean? So it was like really important. And then when I was there, I saw people getting on TV, and I was like, oh, wow, like you can make money, like. And then and I was like, well, I want to make some money, like. And then I just knew. I think I just had. It was fun. It was a place where it was just you had a community of people, and it wasn't like my mum got me into it just to get me off doing silly stuff on the street, and so it was just like oh, it was a place where you could just let things out and have really cool people around you. So that's how, and I just would want it to be on that vibe.
And what were the circumstances under which both of you got your SAG cards initially?
Just told someone this story today. Why are you laughing?
it's
Should you
fresh.
go first?
No.
Do you have one?
Well, I have one. Yeah.
I thought you were like gonna.
I ain't got one,
I
guy.
thought you were gonna admit now that somehow you've avoided having one. There was a show on NBC for years called American Dreams that was fantastic. And my dad worked for NBC for a really long time. And we were in LA for something as a family. And we were such fans of the show. We went to the set of the show and they offered to put me and my brother through like 60s hair and makeup and throw us in as extras, which was like the most thrilling moment of my life. And the producer, kept moving me around. Like I guess he liked the way I looked on camera. And then he said, I'm going to write you some dialogue so you get a SAG card. And I was like, what? This isn't how this happens. And he was like, yeah, no, I'm going to write you some dialogue. I really believe in you. I think you have something worth investing in. So we're going to pay the extra money and I'm going to write you some dialogue. And then he brought me back to do another thing. And this was when I was in high school. And then I had a SAG card. So I've been a member since 2007, earlier than that, like 2004, I think, yeah. And it was so lucky. I mean, there's a lot of things like that have just sort of, his name was Jonathan Prince, and I owe him forever.
That's pretty cool. Daniel?
Yeah, it was a bit of a mad one. I kind of was going up for an audition. I had a screen test out here in New York. And they were like, well, you're not going to get a job if you don't join SAG. I was like, you don't really know, like, because I literally have come through this and it was like, okay, cool. I had to join SAG before I could even go into screen test for this thing, which I didn't end up getting. So you have to pay all this money. I didn't get a job, like, and, which is cool. But no, it was, yeah, so I got it through just kind of like, it was just like, I think they have if you do 2 jobs, the third job, you can't really work again in America. So I just paid.
So, Get Out has just become such a phenomenon. I mean, it's not only one of the most original films of the year, it's not only one of the best reviewed films of the year, but, this was a movie that was made for just $4.5 million and has grossed $253 million worldwide.
And we've seen every penny.
I'm balling right now.
But I mean, that makes it one of the most profitable films ever made. It's incredible, and I mean, I think it has entered the cultural lexicon in such a way, just like you said, that it's almost like the new I voted for Obama. I would have voted for Obama 3 times. Is that I've seen Get Out 3 times. What do you make of the phenomenon? Why has it just made such an impact on people?
It was just timing and Jordan's genius, I think. I mean, that's a very special mind that put together what you just saw. And it's airtight. Like, no matter how many times, we were just talking about this, no matter how many times I've seen it, there are no holes, I can't poke holes in it. And it rewards multiple viewings. And it rewards conversations. It doesn't fall apart when you talk about it at dinner afterwards. It gets stronger. And it compels you to go see it again to sort of reassess what you initially thought of it. And I think it just spoke to something. And it sort of, one way to put it is like it's as if it sort of mopped the brow of the collective anxiety America's experiencing right now and wrung it out into a bowl. And then Jordan painted this picture with what was left, the kind of like the things, the underbelly of what we've been avoiding talking about. And he started writing it when Obama was elected, I think the first time, started thinking about it, conceiving of it, and could not have possibly thought of the circumstances we currently find ourselves in and why it would be so powerful right now and also so cathartic. And so it's so great to watch the ending. It's so nice that that's how this movie ends, and unrealistic in some ways that the jail scene isn't the last scene, but it's nice for a second to imagine a version where the bad guys meet terrible ends and the good guy, the victim, escapes relatively unscathed, except for a letter opener to the hand.
I think it's interesting because I was when the trailer came out, I was in England and it was post-Brexit, pre-Trump, and then someone saw the trailer in England and was like, if Trump gets in, this film is going to be huge. And they were like, I hope he doesn't, but yeah, if he does, yeah, you're good. But so it's like, but it's just it articulated something. Like people come up, I have my friends and they'll say the sunken place. Mm-hmm. They'll say it. And it's not because I'm there. They're saying it. They're saying that phrase because it's articulated something. Jordan's articulated something, and it's honest, and he's worked at it, and like every day that goes by, something happens. I go, Jordan, that's such a good film. He did such a great job. I realize how special it is as I'm away from it. Do you know what I mean? And you go, oh, it's just. He's a special talent, and I think the way, and also as well, Jordan's stuff spreads. So with Key and Peele, it did spread. I've never watched an episode of Key and Peele. I've just seen all his YouTube sketches. It spreads. So he has that voice where people want to share it and people own it as if they're theirs and make stuff out of it. And that's what I'm saying. He lets the audience infer. He lets the audience create on top of what he's made. And that's what he's always done, and I just think he's a really special talent, and yeah, it's pretty surreal what's happened, and but I'm happy that people enjoyed it.
I would also say that this is the only movie I've done, so I don't know if other directors aren't like this, but I can't think of someone who made something more specifically with the audience in mind. I mean, he thought about and talked about the audience's responses to every moment in the movie all the time. I mean, it was really like top of mind. He was making it for himself because he had something to say, yes, but he was also making it fully thinking about at every second how it was going to be received. And particularly for Black audiences that have been so ignored by the horror franchise and are so loyal. And he was like, I want to make a movie that is in conversation with them. And it was a very deliberate, consistent thought that he had. And so I think that as an audience member, it's a very rewarding experience. You do feel like even if you're being alienated at times, you're part of it. You're being invited into it. You're not put in the usual audience experience of being in a sunken place where no matter what you say at the screen, the people on it won't do what you're telling them to do. No matter how loudly you yell, get out, they're not going to get out. And all of this was what Jordan was thinking about and talking about when he described the sunken place to me for the first time. He was like, it's an audience. They're in the sunken place. They have no agency over what they're seeing and hearing. And so even though he was reminding the audience of that alienation and that isolation, he still thought about their response at every single second. And he'd direct our performances accordingly. He'd say, you're going to lose the audience here. You're going to tip you're going to show your cards. They're going to know you're the bad guy. Or you need to work harder to, he'd tweak it for the audience's reception.
It was to serve. He made the film to serve. And then I watched it in Atlanta opening day in I don't know where, I don't know what cinema we found. And then it was, he literally, the phrases that he said on set, it was like, they'll be like, oh, get out, get. And like, they were doing it in the audience. They were doing it. And they were all at the right points. He just knew. So, He's special. He's special.
I love it. That is just so awesome. So we have a whole room of actors right here, and congrats on all your success. I mean, this is just so fantastic. But I was just wondering if you could give some words of advice or encouragement to your fellow actors as they embark upon it or continue their careers.
We can't give advice to you guys.
I don't know, man.
I mean, if we can do it.
I can't find it because I feel like how I got into it's really quite specific. I kind of feel like so I can't. It's not like a blanket. I'm always gonna say improv is amazing because I'm coming from an improv background, but it may not be amazing for the person that's needed, and they may need to, and I always think doing theatre and doing off West End or off Broadway or like low key. I came from just doing youth theatre. I used to write plays, direct it when like 16, just make it with my friends. That's what we just. I don't believe in sitting waiting for a phone. I don't know what that is. I like even if I wasn't, I'm like I don't sit around because we make stuff. And that's just like we make it happen. Like and so it's that thing where like because I want to grow. I want to get better at it. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, how can I get better? I'm getting better at waiting for a phone. That's not my job. Right. That's just not my job. Right. Like, do you know what I mean? My job is that, so even if I don't get paid, I'm getting better at my job. That's what it's about. And then I'll get the opportunity because I'm around the world. But so the only thing I could really help me is like, I remember I used to email agents back in England and this is that and the other, and I was like, not getting anything back. And I just stopped emailing people that were big. Like I just stopped contacting them because I didn't care. Because they it's like people in a year above you at school. Like, they're not going to talk to you. They're just not going to, why are you going to talk to them? Do you know what I mean? It's like, they're not going to talk to you. Talk to the people in your class. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, they will want to talk to you. There's no difference. They want to talk. So I just started growing with the people around me. Start creating the people around me. And then we become the wave. Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to jump on a wave. So it's about being creative, because obviously acting is an interpretive art, it's not a creative art. So you still have to be around creative and create as well in order to get better at your actual job. So that's the only, I don't really, yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Don't wait by the phone. That's great advice.
Yeah,
maybe do. I don't know. I'm saying if
you can.
If you're waiting for an audition and waiting for here for back,
you're waiting for like logistics.
Put the phone on. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, don't turn your phone off. Yeah, like, don't have a phone, but like
your phone doesn't need to be on silent. You know.
Yeah, no. But I think that's a really good point because it's like. Acting is such a weird thing where, in theory, we can't really do our job until a bunch of other people gather and logistically provide the opportunity for us to do it, which is very constraining. And so just refuse to obey that and use your relationships to make shit. Everyone that you've come up with, everyone that you've interacted with is also in the position of wanting to make things. So just band together. I mean, that's how I made a YouTube video with a bunch of my friends that weirdly Judd Apatow saw that got me my audition for Girls. I mean, this shit happens in such weird ways, and everyone's path, annoyingly, it's not like being a lawyer, paralegal, et cetera. Like, it's totally different for every single person. So I'm positive you'll all find your way.
Yeah, same for me. I got on Skins because I was doing youth theatre back in London, and they were looking for young people. Like, I was doing it. Do you know what I mean? I was doing it with my friend, and then we joined Skins as writers with the people I was writing with. You know what I mean? Because I was already doing it. So it was just doing it at a different platform. But it's not even like a bigger platform. It's just more people will see it. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. Well, thank you both so much. This has been amazing. And congrats once again. Seriously.
Thank you.